Hey everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a review for something that means a lot to me, something from my childhood in the 90s. This is for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And yes, this is the complete box set that I got about 4 years ago on my honeymoon at Walmart. I found this, I wasn't going on honeymoon to Walmart. I bought it at a honeymoon in a Walmart. Whatever. Anyway, I got this. It's the complete series. I've never seen the show all the way through, despite my love of it as a kid. And man, can I tell you, most of my exposure was not just toys of the franchise. And I watched a lot of seasons of Power Rangers, but there were certain ones I never saw on TV, like Zeo and like Turbo, the shows I never saw. But most of the franchise I saw quite a bit of growing up until like 2004 or 5 or 6. I think Wild Force was the last one I watched. But I've always wanted to go back and watch this. This was the 20th anniversary box set, and I wanted to make a review for you now that I finished watching all of it, because I've been on a big Power Rangers kick. I love superheroes, and I love some PWs. So anyway, my love of the franchise was not just from the toys. I also mainly grew up on VHS tapes like this one right here, which is Day of the Dumpster, and look how amazing this artwork was. This tape still works. It still looks amazing, even though being rewound and rewatched over and over and over again. And just so you know, by the way, VHS tapes used to be a ripoff. Every episode of this series of Power Rangers is about 20 minutes long. They would typically release VHS tapes that were like $20, $25, which is like $30 or $35 nowadays in today's economy, with like one episode apiece on each tape. Not even like Dragon Ball Z, where you had 2 or 3 20-minute episodes, about an hour of content on each tape. No. You had one. I have a yellow one, a pink one, and one of the Green Ranger episodes from the Green with Evil miniseries they did. But anyway, let's get back to Power Rangers, though, after showing you that awesome VHS tape. I also saw a lot of reruns of this show growing up, too, that made me love it and appreciate it just as much. But this was an awesome show that came out in 1993. It ran until 1996, and it had 3 seasons, but technically it should be 4, in my opinion, if you count how many years it is. But also that the final thing in here I'm going to talk about, the final 10 episodes of the show, is kind of a mini-series that leads into the next show called Zeo, and that little mini-series is 10 episodes long, called Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, which I had never heard of, I had never seen before, and I finally did. I'm going to give my thoughts on that too towards the end of this review, but I want to start off just talking about the first 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin in this set right here. So, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, what is it about? Well, it was an overnight success based on a Japanese property where they took the fight scenes and edited it into this show that was like a mixture of Saved by the Bell and a little bit of Bruce Lee martial arts from those fighting scenes overseas, and then you had a little bit of Gundam thrown in there too. I think this is before Gundam, so I don't know. But you had big stompy robots in the show. I'll get to those in a moment too, called Megazords. Basically, there are 5 power coins, and there's like a space wizard dude that's like a floating head in a tube, which is hilarious. If you haven't seen it in a long time, Zordon is his name, and he is hilarious to look at. But anyway, floating head in a tube, he's bald, he's blue, and he's here to say, I need you, Power Rangers. So basically, there's a space monstrous, whatever you want to call her name, Rita Repulsa, that gets out. And Zordon and his robot, named Alpha 5, voiced by the actor is it Richard Stephen Horvitz or Stephen Richard Horvitz? The guy that did Billy on Billy and Mandy. If you love that cartoon, my personal favorite cartoon of all time, he's here as Alpha 5 the robot. They have to summon 5 teenagers with attitude, and they're like the nicest kids ever, but he says with attitude. And they bring them in to make them superheroes to try to help defeat Rita Repulsa, the villain, who is now releasing monsters onto the Earth, mainly into parks, which is hilarious. They don't say that, but like every fight scene that happens in the show are like in local parks, and it's hilarious. But eventually you have more villains that show up, like Lord Zed, my personal favorite Power Rangers villain of all time. I think he's most people's, because Mighty Morphin is like the most popular Power Rangers show ever. Despite the popularity overseas of the original show the fighting footage is being taken from, called Super Sentai, this was like an overnight success as a series. I think the actors they picked for it, despite their lack of acting talent, I think that matters. I think it makes the show fun. I think that the fighting, the martial arts, is excellent in the show most of the time, until like season 3. I'll get to that. But that stuff makes it super fun. They're very typically formulaic standalone episodes that just repeat the same thing over and over again. Basically, Power Rangers will be summoned. The characters will turn into these Power Rangers, these very colorful, awesome spandex costumes with plastic helmets that look great, and they still look great, even on this DVD box set. There's originally 5 of them, like I said. There is, let me show you all. There's Jason the Red Ranger, there's Billy the Blue Ranger, who's kind of a nerdy kid, and I love Billy. One of the coolest looking color costumes on the show, even though everybody wanted to be the Red Ranger. You have Trini, the Yellow Ranger, Zach, the Black Ranger, who's kind of like this cool, suave, smooth, hip-hop dude. I love Zach, one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite Rangers ever in the show. And then you have Kimberly, Amy Jo Johnson's character, and I will say it like everybody else has said over and over again, she was the first crush I ever had in all of my life, ever, on a chick. She is so lively and fun and sweet, and despite not being able to act just like everybody else on the show, you fit right in that department, but she was beautiful, and she's so funny and lively, and the Pink Ranger costume looks great. Nobody gives it the credit it deserves. But eventually, you have a 6th Ranger who is the Green Ranger, created by Rita Repulsa, somehow, some way, and he is a character named Tommy, played by Jason David Frank, and who was a real-life MMA guy who was awesome. He was in a lot of Power Ranger stuff, and the show eventually became about his character more than like the other Rangers after people started leaving the show over payment issues and all that drama I won't even get into. But eventually, he becomes the White Ranger, who in my opinion is the best costume on the show, hands down. I like how he has the Optimus Prime mouth and not lips like everybody else. It's pretty awesome. Here he is in the Green Ranger costume, by the way. Very cool. The introduction of the Green Ranger on the show, by the way, is a mini-series that's like 4 or 5 parts called Green with Evil, and it is such a blast. I love when this show gets away from the typical creature of the week, monster of the week, whatever formula, where we have multi-part episodes, where you'll have 3-parters, 2-parters, all of that stuff. That, in my opinion, is where Mighty Morphin Power Rangers absolutely shines, except for when they have the Rangers turn into children, which happens multiple times on this show, sometimes all of them, you know, typically all of them, and I hate that. That's the worst part of the show. One time they're turned into kids, they lose their memory. One time they are turned into kids, they don't lose their memory. It's embarrassing. It's really bad. The show itself, people who didn't grow up on this, and I've said this about this and Dragon Ball Z, you won't be able to appreciate it, but the people who did, you can still watch this. It still holds up, as cheesy and silly as it is. It's so much fun to watch. The fights are fun. The music is awesome. The theme song, Go Go Power Rangers, it's amazing. The sound effects are really good. I like the practical effects of the show, whether it be the awesome monster costumes or whether it be like when you have like people like fighting the Power Rangers and they get hit in the chest, and the Power Rangers, they put like a thing in their costume that makes sparks, and the sound effect they direct to that with that practical effect of real sparks, not CGI sparks. They didn't have the budget for that. They look awesome. They look awesome. The shitty CGI in the show makes me so nostalgic for what I grew up on in cartoons and live action stuff like Disney Channel original stuff. I love it. The show is so much fun. I think my favorite Ranger on the show is still Jason, the original Red Ranger right here, because again, everybody wanted to be him. But I love all of the cast originally, and I even like the newer cast sometimes. But Tommy, the White/Green Ranger, the Grite Ranger, the Ween Ranger. Let's call him the Ween Ranger. He may be my new favorite after rewatching this, because Jason David Frank, despite what people say about him in real life, I love the guy. Super fun, super cool. Badass dude. But Tommy is a great character, and I like how, again, that Saved by the Bell element of the show is so sweet. The show doesn't just have fighting like a lot of our parents accused us 90s kids of just getting violent because of the show. It's not just that. It has a lot of heart, a lot of soul, and a lot of the episodes are based around lessons about these characters. There are episodes, like one in particular, that really hits me because I was a kid coming up from a divorced family. My parents split up when I was about 10. Basically, they have an episode in here about one of the Rangers. I think it was Kimberly, whose parents divorced, and they had a character struggle in that situation about her dealing with that. I wish I had seen that more as a kid, because there were a lot of this show that had these really good storylines like that. I love it for that. I think it is so good, so fun, and so sweet. And action-packed, too, if you like that. Getting back to the action-packed, though, the Megazords. There's like 3 or 4 of them in here, and that they get as upgrades over time. The first one, the original one for us in the US with the Power Rangers show, not the Super Sentai show from overseas, is to me the best Megazord ever. I love that thing. I've always wanted a toy of it, but I decided not to do it because it's typically very expensive. But I love the original Megazord on this show. It's the best one for me of any Power Rangers show I ever saw. Even though I haven't seen them all, it's still the best one, in my opinion. The other ones seem to get a little bit better, and then a little worse, and a little bit better, a little worse. There's everybody getting different ones. The White Ranger on the show, I'm pretty sure is from a completely different series from Super Sentai that was dragged in with footage to this. Then eventually in Season 2, the actors got to have the costume shipped from Japan to America to fight and show real fight scenes of American footage sometimes. Not always, but sometimes. Season 3, there was a movie that came out, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, that I've not seen in forever. And by the way, I have a VHS tape of. I cannot find it. I'm probably going to have to go ahead and bite the bullet and buy a DVD because the Blu-ray is out of print. It's like 90 bucks. The DVD is 6 bucks. I'm going to go with DVD. I may have to go ahead and buy that so I can watch it, but I didn't want to review it before I did the Mighty Morphin series. That movie is awful. Both the original Mighty Morphin film and the Turbo movie are horrendous from what I remember of them. Haven't seen them in a while, but they're awful from what I remember. And I saw both in the theater, I think, too, if I remember correctly. But the thing for me is Season 3 of the show, when that movie was released, basically they adopted what the movie did, but they ignore the movie. Like, they act like the movie didn't happen. But in the show, they have to get new powers and new costumes. I won't spoil for you why. But it's ninja-themed. And those costumes look like shit. They look like bed sheets that they wrapped around these characters that are different colors. And the colors are nice, but the costumes look like shit. The White Ranger looks like a Klansman. It's hilarious. Everybody keeps laughing about that and joking about it, but it's true. It's embarrassing, and I hate those ninja costumes. I also hate the guy who gives them the ninja costumes and the ninja powers and the new ninja Megazords. And his name is Ninjor, and he talks like this: "I'm here, Rangers," and he's like a Kermit the Frog voice actor. The costume for Ninjor is pretty awesome. I like it. It's like In Space's costume, another Power Ranger series, if you haven't heard of it before. It's like those, maybe even the inspiration for those, but it's like a samurai ninja theme of that. And I like it. It's kind of bulky. I feel bad for the actor or the costume, but I like that. I just hate his voice. Ninjor's voice is the worst thing about the show ever. Some of my favorite villains on the show, aside from Lord Zed being my absolute favorite, Rita Repulsa is great. I love her. The actress is hot, but the voice is great. It's so fun and cartoonish. I love that about the show in general, is how cartoonish it is and how it's not afraid to embrace that. And Power Rangers never really ditched out on that totally, from what I've seen of it over the years. But then you have Goldar, kind of the first right-hand man of Lord Zed and Rita Repulsa, who is like a big monkey in golden armor with huge wings. He looks like a demon, but he's great. I'm pretty sure the voice of him is Yajirobe from Dragon Ball Z. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it sounds a lot like Yajirobe to me, especially when he's yelling, because he's always yelling. Goldar is always screaming. Finster is another character there, who's the guy who creates the monsters that they send out all the time. And he has like a little leaf on the end of his nose. I never noticed that as a kid on the VHS tapes and stuff. But Finster's cool. It's also the same voice actor who does Lord Zed. That's insane to me. I can't even process in my brain how that could be true, but apparently it is, and that's wild to me. My favorite monster on the show probably is either the Pocketbook Monster. If you haven't seen it, go look that up. Or my real favorite, being serious now, is this one that's like, it looks like a gray circle, but he has like these flaps that are like ears over here, right? But if you look at them closely, even though they never close, even though they probably could, they never did, it looks like a pumpkin, like an evil pumpkin, and it's awesome. I love that about it. There is one other monster that I have to bring up that is in this Season 3 a lot. That's embarrassing to look at. It's like, I think he was called like the Sea Monster, and he looks like a big weird Hellraiser monster in like a trench coat, but he's always holding the trench coat flaps like this and holding them open. He looks like he's flashing people. And that's the joke. It's supposed to be funny. It's not mentioned in the show, but it's supposed to be like that. And inside the trench coat, there's like red sinew and muscle and eyes everywhere. Cool idea, hilarious in a children's show. Because this show is unapologetically for children. It's not an adult show. Don't go into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers talking about how it doesn't hold up, it sucks, it's bad, it's stupid, it's goofy. It is a kid's show, man. We're not talking about the MCU where they clearly were for more adult audiences and families in general, and more serious for that. That is not what this amazing little show was, nor should it ever be, in my opinion, even though I love the 2017 reboot, which was more a family, more adult, more serious. But I like when Power Rangers does this. It takes itself in a very cartoonish way. The costumes work for it. The coloring admires and helps that, I think. The tone of the show, the silliness, the goofiness works for that. Hell, there's two bully characters in the show named Bulk and Skull. Bulk is very clearly inspired by John Candy. Even the way the guy purses his lips like John Candy is hilarious. I love Bulk and Skull on this show. They get tiresome if you marathon the show, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. But now I got to talk about the miniseries I talked about. Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers, this little thing. These costumes look amazing, and I always wanted to know what they were going to be about when I had my Big Lots copy of just this season, which was 10 episodes long. Like I said, it's technically the end of season 3, and the finale of the show, which was actually really good. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I really liked that. The Alien Rangers, basically the Power Rangers that we know, they lose their powers, they get turned into kids, fucking again. Like I said, Zordon at least, calls into space to get the Alien Rangers to come to Earth, and they do, to help out the Power Rangers, not only get themselves returned to normal, do some other things that are very sci-fi and goofy that would kill all of humanity if it happened. I won't spoil that for you, but involves the Earth's rotation stopping. Yeah. Basically, the Alien Rangers come to defend Earth, and I fucking hate them. I fucking hate the Alien Rangers. They're these big-headed things that there's no way in hell that their heads would fit into these masks or helmets or whatever you want to call them. But the costumes look amazing. I'm sure that this footage of these fights are older than the Mighty Morphin show's footage that it's using for Super Sentai. But these costumes are amazing. They look cool. The fights are cool with these. Not like the ninja costumes I talked about for the regular Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But the aliens themselves have this modification on their voice that they're like this, "We're so glad to help you, Power Rangers." And I hate that shit. It's obnoxious. I despise it. It gets on my nerves. Every time, like, the lead chick that leads the Alien Rangers would speak, I wanted to open fire. I wanted to kill her ass because of her voice. And it's not even the actress's fault. But they have these goofy heads, and they have the crackhead eyes like this. And they're always jerking their heads and shit around when they're looking around the room or just observing shit. They like ice cream. They need water because they're from an aquatic planet. They're called the Aquatians. They're from a planet called Aquitar. It's water. They have to have water. They live in water. But if they don't have water, they'll die. And they dehydrate super easy. Every episode of this 10-episode run of them being on this planet called Earth is about them needing to go rejuvenate in water and rehydrate in water before they can go fight a monster. And the kids are all here. The Power Rangers, I mean, are children. It's obnoxious. It pissed me off a lot, and I was irritated because this show ended so poorly. And no wonder the ratings dropped so heavily in Season 3. They had started to decline in Season 2 leading into Season 3, but Jesus, with this, everybody I've ever talked to hates the fucking Alien Rangers, and I don't blame them. I hate them too. They're awful aside from how cool the costumes and fight scenes are. But anyway, back to Mighty Morphin though. Overall, I really like the show, even though Season 3 is very messy and Alien Rangers' little miniseries is awful. I have so much nostalgia and love for the show, and again, I don't think it would hold up for somebody who didn't grow up on it. But if you haven't seen it before, try it out, especially if you like kaiju fights and giant monster fights in small towns like in Godzilla movies. If you love that kind of thing, or rubber suit monsters and stuff, this is for you. If you love superheroes and comic books, and you want kind of a cheesiness of that embraces color and 90s corniness, and Saved by the Bell too if you love that, this is for you. It's almost a sitcom in some ways, and it's great for that. The humor is great. Again, the music is the thing about it. It just sells this whole thing and makes it even better than it could be. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's a great show. It's messy. It's sloppy, but it's for children, and I can accept those flaws even as an adult who grew up on this because it's so much fun. And yeah, I have opinions about how it eventually became the Tommy Show and not about, the Red Ranger leading the team. Yeah, that gets on my nerves. I agree 100% with people who are pissed off about that because it pisses me off rewatching it now. But I still love the show, and I still love additions like Tommy. It has so much great about it that those flaws, like the Alien Rangers, are really overshadowed for me. Despite the ninja costumes being bad, we get a bunch of good costumes in the show and good fights in the show. I love it quite a bit, and if I had to rate Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on a 5-star basis, there is no way in hell I could give this anything less than a 4 out of 5 stars for my personal taste. It doesn't matter to me so much about filming and the quality of things like that. For me, it's the overall experience and the entertainment value in a movie or a show that I'm reviewing. This one is endlessly entertaining in those ways, and I recommend it alone on that. If you have a kid who wants to try out Power Rangers, Season 1 is all you need. If that's all you can find on Amazon for $10 instead of the whole series because you don't know if you want it or not, buy it. Start with the first couple of episodes called Day of the Dumpster, like on this VHS tape, and then watch a miniseries that introduces the Green Ranger called Green with Evil, part 1 through 4, 1 through 5, something like that. I think it's all on Netflix too. I don't know. I don't have Netflix, but it used to be all on there. It's probably gone now. But even so, if you haven't seen it before, check out Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Again, 4 out of 5 stars for me. I adore it. I think it's so much fun. And I've been watching on the sidelines of this and getting ready to do this review, a YouTube channel that I love that I want to recommend to you at the end of this video now. In case you've never heard of him before, his name on YouTube is Italian Stallion 51. He's a great guy named Fabio. He's friends with people like Rambo Raff for Life, another big YouTuber from back in the day that I still watch and still adore. Fabio, thank you for all your comments back and forth with me about this show and this review upcoming. God bless you, man. Go check him out. I'm going to link his channel down in my description section in case you haven't heard of him before. But I'm currently watching Zeo. I'm about 2 or 3 discs into the Zeo TV show. I want to get a review for the movie as soon as I possibly can up for you all, so I will do that sometime, God willing. Just hang in there in case you're a big Power Rangers fan, because I want to talk about a lot of this stuff. I bought a lot of it in a haul video I'm going to show you very soon, and probably the next few days, of a bunch of the Power Rangers seasons I bought because I really wanted to get into a Power Rangers kick. I realized all the seasons I grew up on that I loved, and even ones I never got to see, not everything that's out there, but most of the stuff, at least from Nickelodeon and backwards, are on DVD, so I bought a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So I want to talk about those as I watch them, God willing. It's going to be a long project, all the way into 2025. Maybe even to 2026, I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you all for watching, guys. I'm losing my voice. I have to end the video. Catch you later. What's your favorite Power Rangers season, series, movie? What's your favorite episodes in this show? What's your favorite costumes, Megazords, all of that, either of all time or just in Mighty Morphin? What's your favorite memory of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 2 for you 90s kids out there like myself? Anyway, thank you guys again. God bless you all again. Goodbye.